right, so we're going to talk today about views on views of video SEO. And let's see, yes, the clicker is working. Fantastic. Okay, so first we're going to talk about why on-page video SEO is different from all of the other SEO that we do. Like Cyrus was saying, there's a lot of people that sort of overlook this and they say, oh, I don't know, it's just on YouTube or something. Or there's people who spend all their time on YouTube and don't really worry about the on-page sort of elements. So let's sort of bring a little bridging the gap there. We're also going to talk about how we optimize on-page videos for SEO. Okay, so first of all, why is on-page video SEO different? Why is it different from all of the other optimizations that we're making all the time and spending ourselves deep diving into all of that sort of stuff? Well, on-page video SEO is different because users want a richer content experience. They don't just want to read about the northern lights. They want to see them streaking across the sky. They don't just want to hear about the Sea of Tranquility. They want to bask in all the glory of that sort of moonlight beam. And they don't just want a report of a rocket shooting off to the moon. They want to see how brightly it burned. And the reason why is because users love video. Love video. Study after study will show you that users love video. The stats on it are immense. And as well as uploading videos every day, users are consuming videos all the time. So Cyrus mentioned lots of things on social, and people are on Twitch, they're on TikTok, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on all of these things. Consuming video, or adding video, consuming video, and how much? Something like 84 minutes per day on average. That's the equivalent of watching all 5 Star Trek movies every week, or if you are in the other camp, watching the first 3 in the Star Wars trilogy and enough of the prequels to remember that you hate Jar Jar Binks. Now, thanks, Noah. So the other thing that we find is that on top of that, after watching all of those things, users still want more. So 9 out of 10 consumers will tell you that they want more videos from brands, that not enough videos about how to use this product or how to use that product or all of that sort of stuff. They want more. And they want it in lots of different places. So 55% of consumers will admit to watching videos in store before they purchase whatever it is they've come to buy. So users want video. This is slightly different from the other kinds of content they were creating because they actively want it. They want this content, and they seem to have an insatiable appetite for it. So this is something that we should think about when we're creating video and we're creating content for our website. And this means that Google is aware of this. So on-page video is different because Google understands that users want this, and Google's shows a richer SERP in order to satisfy this need that they've identified from their customers. So they're happy to show video in lots of different ways, from multiple formats, from social media. We see like sort of shorts videos showing up from TikTok, from Facebook. They're also happy to show video right in the SERP from things like, this is taken before it became X, but from Twitter there as well. And they're also happy to show content in a sort of native format. So if you were to look up something like best burger buns, you might see a video SERP like this. And there's an option to click on it and to get a native video experience where you're watching the video in Google before you go to YouTube. It's got all the bookmarks. Not only that, but it also has related topics all within Google, not even within YouTube. They're happy to give these sorts of things because they know that users want this content and they want to satisfy that need. They're also happy to help the same video to rank for multiple positions. So on this SERP, you can see that we have the same video on the same SERP at the same time, showing in the recipe carousel, on the actual page, and also on YouTube itself. It's all the same piece of content. And what we also see is that Google's giving us more tools to register this. We had Daniel speaking earlier about all of the different things on Google Search Console and all of that kind of data, and they've given us lots more tools to measure our videos on Google Search Console this year, more and more and more features on that particular video page element. They also added another thing in Google Analytics 4. Thank you, Bree, for talking about that today. So they've got a new channel called Organic Video, which wasn't there before. And as soon as you figure out how to use it, it will be incredibly useful for you. So I was looking at all of this, and I thought, what's the deal, though? Like, there's so much encouragement here coming from Google. Google is really trying to drive home, like, more video, more and more video. And I said to Dr. Pete, Dr. Pete, Are we seeing any change in the sort of prevalence of video on the SERP? Because this seems like a lot of input here. And Dr. Pete, being the absolute king that he is, he said, yeah, let's pull the stats, let's look at some Moz data, and let's see what we got here. And it turns out that in 2021, the average SERP, or 18.9% of SERPs had videos in their results. And by the time we get to 2022, that's gone up to 27.4%. And to save you doing marketing maths, because maths is hard, that means that videos in the SERP increased by 45% year on year. That's a lot. That's a lot, right? But why? Why though? Why has that happened? Well, it's the same reason why I was in my living room, I was in my spare room in a full face of makeup, pointing at the wall. This is the reason why this is doing that. It's TikTok, obviously. Now, this isn't just conjecture. And when we look at the stats that I got from our dear friend, Dr. Pete, this is what we see. We see ebbs and flows, peaks and troughs, all of these different hills and valleys. And what's interesting is if you overlay this with TikTok drama, it becomes very, very interesting. So here we have a few different things of TikTok drama, TT being TikTok, over the course of the last sort of 18 months, year or so. And what you see is that here, this is when TikTok reported 2.3 billion pounds in revenue, and Google said, whoa, wait a second, we could do more on that. And so we see the video SERPs go up. Then you see it sort of go down a little bit, and then we start seeing lots of rumblings about TikTok being the Gen Z fave search engine, and you start to see Google start ramping that up a little bit more as well. There's one in there that I think might be a glitch. And then we also have TikTok getting banned from the US government phones happening there, and then we also see Google responding as TikTok is in Congress. So what we see here is that on-page video is different because it's helping Google to achieve a strategic objective, a strategic competitive objective. And as SEOs, this means that it's also going to help you achieve some of your strategic objectives. This also means that you can piggyback on that. You can be involved in this because what they're seeing here is you're seeing Google leveraging YouTube, leveraging the SERPs, leveraging all of these things to try to be more competitive. And if you are involved in that, then you can also ride in those coattails. So on-page video is different for SEOs because it's a hybrid activity. And this means that optimizations of every stage impact the SEO performance of your on-page video. So that means that we have things like your video content, the video platform that you choose, and then, of course, the video web page. All of these should work together for your on-page video SEO. Not one at one time, but all together. We should think of them holistically in order to get the best out of that particular experience. So how do we do that? Let's break it down a little bit. So on the video content, there's lots of different ways you can optimize on-page video or video content in general, and people who are like super YouTubers can give you lots of those details, but here's a few that I think are particularly important for on-page video SEO. High quality file format. Nobody's expecting you to be Netflix, but do your best, right? We're going to talk about high quality thumbnails. Again, do your best. The best that you can possibly put forward here, given your equipment. Also, keywords in your script. Also, satisfying user intent. Now, we're all great SEOs, and we all know what these things mean, so I'm just going to take that as read. Y'all get what I'm saying here. Okay. The next part we're going to talk about is keywords in your script and satisfying user intent. So the thing about keywords in your script is even if you don't make a transcript, even if you don't update your transcript, YouTube's doing it anyway. They're transcribing your content. They are understanding the words that you're saying in the things that you're putting on your videos. So if it is your video that you are adding it to your on-page video SEO, make sure that you're talking about the thing that is most relevant to the page that it's going to be on in the end, because Google and YouTube can see the words that you're saying. They can see what's going on. So if you say go on a tangent, for instance, while you're in the middle of a webinar about homepage SEO and start talking about green shoes, then it might be the case that Google will also see that. But the other thing is it's searchable. So the reason why I looked this up was because I know I talk about shoes a lot. That's my favorite metaphor when we're talking about search examples. And this one is something that you can search on YouTube, and you can find the content and the words within your thing. So Google is able to search these. Google is able to search these. That means that users are able to search these. So make sure that you keep your script and make sure that your script is tight and that you're talking about the things that are most relevant to the page that it's going to end up on in the end. The other thing you want to think about is satisfying user intent. Lily talked about the quality rater guidelines. And the thing that's interesting about that is that in the quality rater guidelines, they talk about all of the content on your page. And a lot of people think that the quality rater guidelines is only talking about the text on your page, the blogs on your page, the main pieces of content on your page. But they define the main content as any part of the page that directly helps the page to achieve its purpose. And they say that it can be anything. It can be text, it can be images, it can be videos. And they also say that it can come in all formats. And they say it can come in all lengths. So anything that helps the page to achieve its length, or anything that helps the page to achieve its purpose is fair game to be considered main content. Therefore, if you have good quality videos, then that will help to determine that you have good quality content. And Google is able to use that to determine the quality of your site. So we're also going to be thinking about satisfying user intent is something that they think about from the SERP. So when somebody's searching for something, they want to make sure that they can see that. And so the thumbnails that you have, the titles that you have, all of these things can help you to demonstrate that you're satisfying user intent. And this is one of the reasons why videos have such a high click-through rate. So make sure that you're satisfying before you even get to the actual page. Make sure that your video itself is hitting these marks. Now let's think about the video platform. Now, I have conversations with marketers from lots of different backgrounds. In my work with Wix, I work with people who are site builders, who are business owners who are working on their own site. I work with marketing directors. I work with people in my own team who are optimizing different pages, and they always ask me, which platform should I use for videos? What should I do? And I'm going to tell you, y'all, use YouTube. I'll get into more than that. But not only should you use YouTube, but you should optimize on YouTube, you should link from YouTube, and you should engage with YouTube. Let's just light all those up. Okay, so we all know that YouTube is the king of featured snippets. How much? They're pulling in over 500,000 featured snippets in the US alone. Like, YouTube is like, that's what's going on. But they're also on the SERP. So if you look up YouTube on the SERP, they're pulling in millions of SERPs here. So these are by the millions, and they're trumping lots of the other platforms. So they've got 48 million pages that are ranking on the SERP right now, every month. So this is something that's going to give you a lot of visibility if you're connecting with YouTube. So they already have some privilege on the SERP. So that's important to think about. And then there's also this. So Joy Hawkins is in the building, and you can talk to her about this data that I lifted from Twitter. Thank you, Joy, for giving me permission to do that. Thank you, Joy. Okay, so she shared an experiment. Joy shares lots of experiments online, so do follow her, check her out for all of that sort of stuff. And she shared an experiment where she had a client who was using YouTube, and then they decided to switch to another platform, and it flatlined. And then when they switched back, they saw it go back up. And there's lots of different reasons why this may or may not happen. I can't remember if Joy figured out what the reason was particularly, but we all have a lot of theories. But one of the things that I found interesting was that when I was looking into things about video SERP, one of the things I found was that a lot of the defaults for YouTube actually meet Google's specifications for video indexing. And these are things like the correct pixel size and ratio for what the video should look like on the embed, the type of formats, the type of the full video schema on the hosting platform, like the title consistency, meta tag consistency, all of that sort of stuff is all already in YouTube. And as they set the specifications and they own YouTube at the same time, I mean, there's going to be some reasons why they may have not done that, but the fact remains that it is the case. So YouTube defaults are going to save you a lot of hassle along the way. So absolutely use YouTube for that purpose. When we think about optimizing on YouTube, there's a lot of things that are in YouTube that you can use to your benefit. So for instance, when you have, I've gone the wrong way. So when you have your chapters, you can add chapters within your YouTube video. Those will show on the SERP. You can also use those same chapter tags as your headers in your content on your page, which is absolutely useful and really, really useful. And also within YouTube, there's great tools that you can do for keyword research. The same kind of keyword research that you would do for your main content, you can do this on YouTube. So this is a tool called TubeBuddy, and TubeBuddy can give you information on the kinds of keywords that are available. You can also get a really handy best practices checklist at the top, so you're adding your high-res thumbnail, end screens, comment pins, that sort of thing. And that can be really, really useful and help you to move things forward. And you can also see some of the tags that other people are using on their videos so that you can use them too. And so you can use those competitor research to understand which keywords you might want to put into your video as you're making your video live. Additionally, when you're optimizing on YouTube, you want to optimize your YouTube thumbnail. And I've mentioned this a few times, but it is something that shows on the SERP really prominently. So it's absolutely worth investing some time in making your thumbnail work for you. And not only that, but the YouTube thumbnail that you optimize on YouTube becomes a data source in Google Search Console. So when you go and look at your video details, you can see, where's the thumbnail coming from? Well, that thumbnail is coming from the platform. It says video hosting platform. It's not coming directly from your website, it's coming from your platform. So make sure that you optimize that on YouTube. And then it will show again on your SERP. The other thing you want to think about is linking from YouTube. Now, the links on YouTube are very interesting because they're no-follow links, but they're also redirects, which is very interesting. So this isn't a link building exercise necessarily, but this is an opportunity to create connections between the entity that is your YouTube channel and your website. So on your YouTube channel, you can add something in the top right corner that will tell you, where you're able to connect your website, your socials, and all of that sort of stuff, which can be backed up by your organization schema on your website and on the pages when you're creating your on-page video SEO page. You can also add more links into your About page here as well, and you can also add links from your YouTube channels that from each YouTube video that go directly to the page that it is being used on. And again, these are opportunities to not just for link building, but to help you with other structural elements. So YouTube videos can be indexed on the SERP in as quickly as 2 hours. And that means that you're essentially having your content on the SERP straight away. The other thing that's worth thinking about is every video that's on YouTube gets indexed. Not every page that goes online gets indexed, but every video that goes onto YouTube gets indexed. So if you're adding your video onto that page, not only are you're adding your link onto the description of that video, not only are you getting the benefit of being indexed on Google, and we've already seen that they privilege YouTube content on Google, but you're also adding opportunities for that link to be seen on the YouTube MRSS, and the feeds of subscriptions and all of the other infrastructure that's already in YouTube to help distribute your content. So it's absolutely worth putting those links there and connecting those two pieces of content. Additionally, when you engage on YouTube, you're able to add more signals that the piece of content is important and that it connects and all of that sort of stuff. And you can add, you can pin comments, you can reply to them, and treat the piece of content as a live piece of content that allows you to engage and allows that piece of content to rank on YouTube and to perform well. You can also add live links within the comments on YouTube, which is useful. And when we think about the video web page, there's a few things we should also think about. So the video web page should be backed up with tech SEO foundations. I also would recommend including a transcript. I would also recommend prime positioning and engaging your audience. Again, let's light those up. Now, when I talk about tech SEO foundations, we were talking about, Lydia was talking a lot about APIs, for instance, and this is something that can be incredibly useful with YouTube. So YouTube has a very active API, and this is something that we use at Wix to get great results for our clients, our users. So using the YouTube API, we have something called Wix Video, and as soon as you add a URL from a YouTube video into Wix Video, it pulls through tons of the metadata, tons of the information from that YouTube video into the Wix page, into the video page on Wix. And it pulls through the thumbnail, it pulls through the title, the creator, the categories, the tags, all of those things, all automatically. And this is something that we are doing with the YouTube API. And there's lots of other things that you can do with this API as well. So when you're doing that, then it makes it automatic. And that means that when that page is published, it also pulls that through to the structured data. And that's something that can help you to perform really, really well. So think about the tech SEO foundations that you have built into the pages that you're planning to embed the video on. If you're doing this on your blog, again, something to think about. I'm a really big fan of RSS. It is a very underrated SEO tool, and I highly recommend that you also include that sort of thing on there as well. And if you have any templates, that need to include more about video structured data, absolutely check that out as well. I would also say it's worth including a transcript. Amanda Jordan is in the building, I'm sure, and it's worth thinking about including a transcript on your page. Edit it, of course, but this is a great opportunity to add natural human language patterns into your website, patterns which Google is working hard to understand and prioritize in the age of AI. And so this is something that can work really well for you. The other thing it's worth thinking about is prime positioning. Always make sure that the images are above the fold. Google tries to understand whether or not something is a primary piece of content or a secondary piece of content, and where you position the images for your video, where you position your video embed makes a difference. So we want to make sure that we're not getting in a situation where you go on Google Search Console and you see that Google could not determine the prominent video on the page. We know what's the prominent video on the page, and you want to make sure that they know it too. And I was hoping to stick with the space theme for this talk, but we're going to divert a little bit, and we're going to talk about this man and this man's buns. So this is Joshua Weissman. Joshua Weissman is a chef. He's a YouTube chef, and he has millions of followers on YouTube. He does really well. He publishes books, et cetera, et cetera. He has a Wix website, and and it ranks for thousands and thousands of keywords, many of them branded, but he ranks for a lot of other big keywords as well. And I was looking at his data, and I found it really, really fascinating because Joshua does great things. As I said, he's ranking for something like 80,000 visits per month, and he's getting some great results for things like burger buns. So he's showing in the top carousel for burger buns going to his website, but his SEO is up and down. Yeah, he's a chef, but his SEO is okay. So what we find is that, he's doing some things here. He's got a good priority position. He's got good links from YouTube. Makes sense because he's a YouTuber and that's his jam. And he's got the high quality thumbnails. He's got the high quality videos. He's got that sort of thing. But then when we get into some of the more sort of normal SEO nuts and bolts things, like there's not really a description on this page, even though it's ranking for lots. There's the H1. There isn't really an H1. The title is meh. The H2 is kind of okay. And so I'm thinking, how on earth is he pulling through like this many visits for this particular one if he's got that sort of thing going on? Because I think it was really interesting because not all of his pages are that meh. Some of them are great, but this particular one was pulling in loads and is ranking for this very top head term, and yet the SEO is heh. And I thought, well, how is he doing this? Well, I mentioned that the last thing that you should think about is engaging your audience. And he's got a very, very engaged audience. For this particular page, there's 184 comments talking about how great these burger buns are. And not only are they talking about it, they are posting pictures of their buns. And other people are liking these buns. And they're talking about how soft and delicious and wonderful they are. And they have a very highly engaged audience. And for Wix in particular, we have a thing that means that everybody has to log in before they're able to comment. So this also allows you to have a sort of quality control in terms of the user-generated content here, but he's crushing it. And not only are they're sharing things, they're talking about things, and they're also talking about the buns all over the place. It's buns, buns, buns. So that's one of the reasons why he's ranking for this particular page. And some of the other content that he has, you see a similar sort of story. So absolutely engage your audience when you're thinking about your on-page SEO for video. And why do we care overall? So I said that on-page video SEO creates unrivaled opportunities for your brand. You have so many tools in your toolbox when you're thinking about on-page video SEO. When we're thinking just about the SERP feature capabilities, you've got your video carousel, but also the images. Your thumbnail will show in the image carousel. It will also show in the image tab. You also have all of the syndication opportunities from YouTube. You also have all of the general on-page SEO optimizations, and you also have the opportunity to use one video on multiple pieces of content. It's an incredible, incredible value for effort from video for your on-page SEO, so I cannot recommend it enough. And it allows you to reach new audiences competitively. As I said, you can use it for lots of different places across the SERP. You can also use a lot of YouTube's infrastructure to spread your message. And it allows you to, and you should be thinking about this in order to optimize video at all stages of your content creation. And this can help you to have a more strategic and more cohesive marketing strategy. And the other thing we want to think about is making sure that you've got your highest quality scripts, thumbnails, and video SEO so that you can maximize the overall content experience with users in mind. I started off talking about how much users love video, and this is something that Google is trying to reflect in their SERP, and this is something that you should be thinking about when you are creating your content. And if you do that, then I'm sure that the content that you create will help you to live long and prosper. Thank you so much, MozCon.